would be more to guide me on what I want to discuss here. I prefer a lot of times to do live. That means that to look at the chart, and this is usually my style. Please have a look at the disclaimer. Whatever that's covered here, they are for educational purpose only, not for financial advice. If you can, please help to tap a love or a thumbs up in YouTube for those in YouTube, so that more people will know that we are running this session. More people will be joining us. Hi Alex, nice to see you in Zoom. All right, that's good. Okay, now so I will be covering 3 parts. First, the current market. Whether you call it a crash or whether you call it a correction, let's take a look at the market, how to manage with the volatility, and also to today's topic, how to catch market bottom. This is about 1 hour and 15 minutes. I try to answer as many questions as possible, but I don't think that I'm able to answer all your questions, especially on entry or etc. So I do have a special deal for you guys. So do spare me about 10 minutes towards the end where I talk about this special deal. Okay, so it's a deal which I think you have not seen for a long time. All right. Okay, this is me. I wanted to show my face. Actually, I had a haircut that's a little bit shorter than what I've expected, but let me just share that with you. But the streaming will be a little bit tougher. Let me just on my camera. Yes. So this is me right now, a little bit short hair, but I probably looks the same, except that I'm wearing a little bit of change in my glasses, so that's for looking at near, as you know, right? Okay, so just to let you know, I trade and invest in almost any instrument. So with SGX, I'm SGX Academy trainer. But a lot of you guys would know that I do, for example, Forex, and I do indexes, BTC as well. Gold is my best love, and also stocks. So I discuss Singapore stocks, I discuss US stocks, and Hong Kong stocks whenever they are relevant. It means that when they're not relevant, when they're not low, then it doesn't have an opportunity, then I won't be discussing them. So recently, what was the index I discussed? I talk about STI at 3,400 and talk about the ETF, which was ES3. So at that time, ES3 was about 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago was about 345, and then recently I just like this week talk about that is about 385 right now, so that's about 10% gain. So these are the things I discuss. Okay, does it look like me 20 years back? Okay, thank you very much. I probably under a filter. This is the wonderful things about Mac. It does make me look a little bit younger. Okay, but anyway, all right. So today what I like to do is I like to share with you me when I hit my 40 plus, is that finally I came to the point of what I wanted to do, which is actually to leave a legacy. Because I could be making a lot of money, all right, could be trading, investing, but everybody would still have to go through that path. Okay, so yes, I want to leave a legacy, and this is my biggest aim right now. So probably you know that about when I was 38 years old, I took a sabbatical, and then I came back at about 41. So you should just guess my age, huh? So it's above 40. And now doing courses, and now coaching, now doing a lot of automation. So my best love is to design automated system. Okay, so that's my expertise, and also that's my best love also. If you ask me what I like to do during the weekend, I like to look at the charts, I like to look at the market, I like to look at, basically things. And what do I do every day? Which is basically to to invest and to trade and to find the best instrument. So today I was just sharing with my students on how to use the dollar Sing to manage their exchange if they are investing into the US market. Why right now you want to take a look at dollar Sing, and if you're investing in the US market, how you can save like, probably like 10% in FX costs. Okay. All right. Now, so first let's get started. Early warning signals, and this is something that I mentioned a lot of time. Are there any early warning signals for the recent correction? So we know that Trump had this tariff to the world, right? And that caused fear. And fear resulted in a huge drop recently to the financial markets, whether you're talking about Singapore, Hong Kong, or US market, all right? But my point is that there are actually already early warning signals, and I did this sessions about a month ago before he came up with the tariff. So I'm going to spend about 10 minutes to go through this because I think it's a very important point that you need to know. As I said, right, I've prepared slides, but I always like to go live. Okay, so this one here is a chart on US 10-year U, okay? US 10-year U minus the 2-year U. So we call this U curve. Okay, now why is this so? I won't go through the dynamic of it because I've did a lot of videos on this one here already, but just wanted to show you a correlation. So basically what happened was that during the session here, which was around this point, right? Let me just change the color of my pen. Just hang on for a while. Okay. So around this point here, which was somewhere around 2022 to 2023, mid this level here. All right. So this was the first time that U curve first inverted. Now, what does inversion means? Inversion means that of the U curve means that the longer dated bonds, treasury use, right, pays lesser interest rate than the shorter dated U. Okay, it doesn't make sense because if you put a fixed deposit for a longer period, you should receive more interest than if you put a fixed deposit of a shorter period. All right, but at that point of time, during this period, the bond U started inversion. Okay, so when it started inversion, the thing would be market believe that after it has inverted, about 6 to 18 months after it first inverted, about 6 to 18 months, we're going to have recession. Okay, so that was what happened in the past, right? And in the past, it showed us this. Okay, but what is more important was that after 24 months, okay, there wasn't any recession. Meaning that after it has started its inversion for about 2 years, we don't really see any inversion, any recession happening. So how do I know that this is 2 years? So somewhere around here, we have about 112 bars here. So that's about 2 years period. We don't really see any recession coming in. Okay, but what is very important is not about the inversion, it's about the normalization. Okay, it means that when things gets to normal again, all right, so that is the critical part. So you went into normalization around here, this period here. Okay, now this period where you went into normalization was September 2024. So that was last year in September. If you track the past history, that means that every time when it went into the inversion and then you went up into the normalization, all right, a correction in the index, in the stock index, will happen about 6 to 18 months after the normalization. I repeat this statement here, okay? So I already said a long time ago that the inversion isn't important. Okay, what's important is the normalization. When the U gets back normal. Okay, that means what is normalization? Means that the longer dated bond yield starts to increase more than the shorter term dated bond yield, right? Okay, so that's called normalization. Now, what is important is that after it gets normalized, 6 to 18 months later, we're going to see a market crash. Okay, I won't put the word called crash. I'll probably just use the word called correction. So what we've seen in the past, like for example, this period here, so that was the 2022 period, right? So this was what happened at that point of time, 2020, that was COVID. Okay, so this was the drop because of COVID. Okay, but before that, there was a slight inversion in the yield, and after that, it went normalized. Okay, so then the next instant was this period here, where that's around 2007, all right, and then 2008. Now, what happened at the point of time was a US-led financial crisis, starts with the subprime. Okay, you can see that after a while, that's where the high of the US indexes, and then after that, it moved down. Okay, then another one was here, so that was it went into a inversion, and then it normalized by closing by crossing above the zero line here. It went normalized, and you can see that that was the top of the S&P 500. All right, now let's talk about now at this point of time, right? Okay, so at this point of time, it went into a normalization in September 2024, that was last year, right? And then we saw that about 6 months later. Okay, so this was about 6 months later. That's about 24 bars. So that's about 6 months later. You see that? That's where we saw a top in the US stock market. That's the S&P 500. The bottom chart is the S&P 500. All right, so that is the recent drop that was already suspected, and I already talked about that. Okay, so I want to bring up, I mean, not as a discussion, because the drop had already happened, and I already talked about that since that it started the normalization last year. All right, is the recent drop caused by Trump, or is it that actually, all right, the market is due for a correction? Okay, meaning that recession is actually round the corner, and that the market needs to start correction. Okay, so today, what I want to also bring up is that from the yield curve, it is difficult and also no way to time the end of the drop. Meaning that we can look at from the yield curve the start of a drop, but we are not able to look at the yield curve where it tells us the correction or the whatever crash that we are seeing, that it is ending soon. Okay, so we can't see that. We can't see from the yield curve. Okay, all right, any question here? So next time, if you find or you heard any news reporting that the yield curve has inverted, all right, so it's going to be a big thing, because then it's something new to the news. I mean, to in terms of from the news point of view. But it's not a big thing, because what we are interested in, it's not inversion, but what we are interested is the normalization. Okay, and we're interested in 6 to 18 months after the normalization, and that is when we need to open our eyes and look carefully to see what is happening to the stock market. Okay, all right, so that's the end of this section here. If I have no questions, I will continue with the next part, because I do have quite a fair bit of things to cover here today. Okay, now, no questions from Zoom and from YouTube. Okay, no question, that's good. Now, so during fear, so we saw that there was fear because the VIX, which is the measurement of fear index, right? The VIX index spiked high. Now, during fear, which instruments will shine? I want to get a little bit of a feedback here, all right, and let me know what you think, okay? So leave me your responses in the chat, both in Zoom and both in YouTube. Let me know what you think, okay? Because we are going to discuss these instruments here today. So during fear, which instrument will shine. Okay, so I have gold here, but leave your responses. Well, I'm just going to continue with the next part because it's more like a bit of advertisement, but just to let you know, and a lot of old guys that have not seen, PNP, paper and pencil, is like maybe 15 years ago. All right, that we have two courses right now. One is TAW Plus, the one is TAW Pro. I'll be introducing them. So if you have not attended them, then to let you know that they comes with a cash refund. Okay, meaning that the course fee would be fully refunded in cash. All right. Okay, so gold will go up. Yes, very good. Gold will go up. Everybody talks about gold. Right, you got it correct. So gold went up. But however, okay, in case that this happens next time, right, there are also other instruments. So yes, bonds went up, the fixed income went up, but there is this particular currency that went up as well. Okay, anybody can make a guess which one. There's this currency that, yes, correct. So Sulin got it correct. Franc, which is the Swiss franc, went up. Okay. Now what I need to do is before I talk about Swiss franc, right? Okay, which is the currency that's used in Switzerland. I wanted to just ask you to just look at the chart in here in Hang Seng Index and the few subsequent charts, right, that I talk about. Okay, I want you to focus on what? On this orange line here. Okay, all right, because the topic today is about how to catch the market bottom. All right, the two orange line here, it's very important for you to identify how to catch the market bottom. Okay, so this was what happened during the early 2025 in Jan, where we caught the bottom of HSI, Hang Seng Index. Okay, so take a look at this two orange line here and the common characteristic of the price movement. Okay, because this pattern kept recurring. Whether it's a crash or whether it's a correction, whether it was 10 or 20 years ago, because I experienced a lot of correction and crash myself, and I've been using the same thing over and over again to buy low, okay, and to build my portfolio. And this is actually how I make a lot of money. I mean, during where fear is the strongest, okay, but I need you to focus on the two orange lines here. Okay, so the pattern is like things goes up, it comes down, and then you see these two orange lines. Okay, so same thing, this was 10 cent, it went down, and then we have one orange line. So focus on the orange line, right? So this was Tesla back before the election, before the US election, during the June period, and I talk about this, and same thing, focus on the orange line, the same pattern, it goes down and then it goes up above the orange line, and Tesla from about 180 and moved up to near to $500. So we went long at that point of time in the community. Yes, we went long Tesla about 170, 180, which a lot of the community still doesn't believe in what I've said, right? But then they've seen it, and then I told them that I actually sold Tesla when it was about 480, 470 plus during our last gathering in December last year. Okay, I've not touched Tesla since then, but I'll let you know how to enter. Okay, so same thing, this was BTC. Also focus on the orange line, focus that it was coming down because it has a very important effect on how to spot market bottom. And then after that, right, it burst up. Okay, so it went from like 65,000, 68,000 all the way to 105, 107 at that point of time. And later we're going to see BTC because the pattern recurs, right? And then this was also Hang Seng TAG. Okay, very good. Now, so yes, you got it correct. Gold was that was that instrument, all right, that went up. Okay, but I wanted to show you this one here, which is this currency called franc versus SGD. Okay, so franc versus SGD. Now, you see from the day chart here, all right, during the point where it went up like this, okay, that was exactly the point. Let me just get the correct price feed, okay, just hang on for a while. Okay, here we go. So that was the correct price. That was the point where Trump during March and April announced, and then after that, right, franc went up. Now, why was that so? Remember, Switzerland is almost the first central bank to announce rate cut. Okay, apart from Japan still maintaining the interest rate at a low, but Switzerland was the one that talked about rate cut. Okay, so CHF becomes a funding currency. What is a funding currency? Meaning that people borrow franc, okay, to invest in high risk asset. Okay, what are high risk asset? Anything that gives higher return. Can be your stocks, can be anything that just gives a slightly higher return than the interest that's being charged by the Swiss franc. Okay, so at that point of time, or rather now, Swiss franc interest rate it's around 2%. So a lot of high net worth investors, a lot of huge funds would do what? They would borrow in Swiss franc. Okay, now because they perceive as that when the risk is low, what they will do is that they will borrow in Swiss franc because it's cheap in interest, is only 2%, as long as they put into anything that's 4%, like for example, STI ETF will give average about 4 plus to 5%. They just have to put that and then they earn the differential interest. Okay, now so Swiss franc, when the risk is high, what do? They will liquidate their high risk asset and then they will pay back the Swiss franc. Okay, so in order to pay back the Swiss franc, they have to go and buy the Swiss franc. So when Trump came out with the tariffs and the entire market wasn't really too sure what is the effect and it was still waiting, we already saw the signal from the FX side to know that risk is going to be off the table. So Swiss franc was that currency that went up. Okay, all right. So what you got correct is that yes, gold is the instrument that went up. You got it correct. Okay, we've been actually going long gold in our community. In fact, that I've been telling the community that there's only one direction for gold. Okay, that is up. So I gave various prediction of gold in terms of the price level. So my first level, when gold starts to move above 2,000, I was telling them that I'm looking at 2,750, and then next target is around 3,005. And then I have also another one more target for gold. Okay, anybody can tell me what's that target for gold? I love for you to type out my target for gold. Thanks a lot, Alvin. And in fact, I just launched a video today on gold talking about the price target of gold that I'm looking at. Okay, so that's like the next level. Okay, but what I really need you to focus on is on the colored lines. Okay, so this is a colored line here. All right, so that's what color is this? It's orange color, right? Okay, so this is the orange color and it's the same thing. It's a recurring pattern. All right, so we had like franc saying heading down, and then after that it went above the orange colored line. Okay, you went above the orange colored line, and subsequently after you went above the orange line, what happened? We saw an explosive movement here. Okay, now so this is the same thing, right? Where just now when I showed you on Tesla, okay, so let me just flash Tesla and the other stocks again of how we traded that, right? So same thing, the pattern was that price has to move down. After that, what happened? It has to go above the orange colored lines. Okay, so this is how we consistently do that to spot the bottom. Same, you see, orange above the orange colored line, and then price to burst up. All right, and then this one here, which was Hang Seng Index above the orange colored lines, and then after that, price burst up. Okay, so this is very, very important. Why is that so? All right, because it allows us to spot the bottom. Okay, so same thing. If you go back into Frank versus Sing, right? It has the same pattern, right? It goes down, and after that, it went above the orange colored line, and then it moved up. All right. So then coming back to my next question. Okay, so let me just get you the next one. Then how to spot bottom? All right, can anybody just let me know how do you usually spot a bottom? How do you know that it is a bottom? It's my question. How do you know that it is a bottom? Anybody from Zoom and also from YouTube? Okay, you have a double bottom. All right. But how do you spot a bottom? How do you know that it is a bottom? My answer might be a little bit cheesy. I have to say. Don't blame me. A bottom is when price must move down. We don't need to be too complicated. A top is when price will have to move up, isn't it? So a bottom has to be where price must move down. Okay, you might think that this is a cheesy answer and I'm just like joking. No, I'm not. I'm serious. When you spot the bottom is when price must move down, then you know that this is a bottom, isn't it? Right? Otherwise, how do you know that this is the bottom? Okay, so this is very, very important here, right? Yeah. Okay, next, I have next question for you. How do you know that winter is ending? Oh yeah, because you have spring, right? Okay, next question. Yes. How do you know that the bottom, or actually this one must come later. Okay, how do you know that the bottom is coming to an end? How do you know the bottom is coming to an end? Yeah, I gave you the answer. How do you know the bottom is coming to an end? Yeah, okay, price stop dropping. And Daniel saw my answer. Price must move up. I think you saw my answer just now. Okay. Yeah, the price must stop moving down. And that's also a bottom. Okay. In other words, it must move up is also telling you that a bottom is found. Okay. I remember that I gave this like example. And I know that I went trekking in Nepal, and then one of the things was that how do I know that I can step on the stone? When the person in front, right, didn't complain that they step on cow dung. Okay, it's the same thing, same idea. So how do you know that this is the bottom? It means that it must be coming down, then it must be a bottom. Okay, how do you know that a bottom stop becoming a bottom? It must be going up. Okay, so these are very simple things to understand. Okay, so it's not a cheesy thing. It's not a it's not something to trick you. All right, but to know that things are coming up. All right, that's where we have the wash and rinse for you. Okay, so if you want, I'm not going to cover the wash and rinse today. Okay, today I'm going to cover another one, right? But in any case, that if you are interested to find how to know that things are moving up or it's stopped coming down and it's going to go up, right? So you can take the Wash and Rinse module 1, all right, and to go to onlineforexmaster.com, and then you just register for the course, right? So you just click on the course registration, and this module is free of charge. You don't need to pay for that. And basically I will be going through, all right, in that module, okay, what is wash and rinse and how to look at wash and rinse. Okay, basically wash and rinse is a pattern, all right, that helps you spot the true bottom, all right, and the true top. Okay, but this is not what I'm going to talk about here, right? But in any case, this is the pattern that you need to know. All right, okay, very important, right? So let's go to the chart proper. Okay, before that, let me just look at this one here, right? Jump a little bit. Okay, now, so today I'm not going to talk about wash and rinse because I've talked about it many times, but I'm going to talk about the new things where this is the new development that I came up with, which it's called TAG. All right, TAG is a new automation, or rather a new way of determining trend, and a lot of people love it. So one of the things about TAG is that it does gives you the trend and also gives you the key level. Okay, so that is what I'm going to talk about, and TAG is found in TAW Pro. Okay, TAW Pro is something where we use to trade any instruments, whether it's Forex, whether it's gold or stocks, and we use it to find optimal level to conduct a trade. Okay, so it's very, very important. Now, I just wanted to go through here with you the concept of spotting a bottom. All right, just let me take you through one by one so that you know what to do. Right now, there are different types of bottom. Okay, there are bottom which are dangerous, there are bottom which are good. Right, first, have you ever bought in a stocks, and that stocks just keep on going down, and then going down and down, right, until you just keep it inside the fridge? Have you had this experience before? And then some people will tell you that you shouldn't be picking up on the bottom. You shouldn't be buying on the bottom. Okay, now this is not true. We always would want to buy on the bottom, in the bottom, because that's where we can get value. But more important is where you need to know the context of what is this bottom here. Okay, so what is the context here? For example, when things starts to move down like this, when you pick a bottom like this as a bottom, this as a bottom, you buy at each of the bottom, right? It is not wise. Okay, why is that so? Why is it not wise? Because you are basically catching a falling knife. Agree with this statement here? When price keeps going down and then you keep buying at the low, and each time you buy at the low and then you just keep dropping. Now, this is not good because you are catching a falling knife. All right. Now, this type of bottom is not a wise choice. However, if you take a look at this chart here, right? So I have a weekly chart. Okay, now this weekly chart is where you find that it's a very, very high time frame, especially for those who are scalping or doing a short-term trading. You find that they might be a little bit longer time frame. Okay, but it's okay. I would still advise that anyone who is doing, for example, short-term trading would still want to check the higher time frame to know what's happening. Okay, so the weekly chart is best paired, right, with a daily chart to catch massive price movement. Not small ones, but massive price movement. And this is how, for BTC, we caught the trade somewhere around here. Okay, why is that so? Because generally, for BTC on the weekly chart, you can observe that price is going higher. Okay, now what I like to do is a lot of time in my training, I like to ask the students to identify higher highs and higher low. Okay, and then this is something where it's simple, but you find that it is very, very useful. So let's do it right now. Okay, now this is the high point. Now, why is this a high point? This is like a mountain, so we call this a high. Okay, I'm just going to take you through slowly because some of you are new to us. Then I want to make sure that you follow and you know what I'm talking about. All right, so this is like a U shape here. So this is a low. Okay, now let's take a look, and I'm going to skip few points, right? So this one here, is it a high or is it a low point? Which one? I need responses from you guys so that I can continue and I know that you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, very good. It's a high point, right? Okay, very good. Now, how about this one here? So this one looks like a U shape. Okay, just imagine that it looks like U shape and then this is a low. Okay, so this is a high, so this is a low, right? Now, in this case here, we will compare this high against the previous high. So we say that this is a higher high. And we compare this low against the previous low. And we say that this is a higher low. Okay, so essentially, when you have 4 points, which is a higher high versus the previous high and a higher low versus the previous low, so this we can conclude it is an uptrend. Okay, so this is a concept that is being found in textbook in open sources. It's not a new concept, it's one of the oldest basic concept. But as I explained just now, right, how do you know that price is hitting a bottom? First, we need to know that price is coming down, right? Then we can find a bottom. Okay, so you can give me fanciful answer, but to me, after investing and trading in the market for so long, I find that the best answer, the best way to be profitable is just to keep it simple. Okay, so asking you, next one, is this a high or is this a low? Okay, very good, it's a high. And in fact that you already know what I'm asking, this is a higher high if you compare to the previous high. So we always make a comparison to the previous high, right? And then next, here, this is an unknown point. Why do I say that this is an unknown point, right? Because I do not know whether it was going to continue to go down or is going to go up. But at least the price here, okay, the current price here, it is showing it is at a higher point than the previous low. Okay, all right, at least that this point here is trading higher than the previous low. Okay, so that's the first thing, right? So the uptrend structure, that means the upward structure, is still being maintained. So this is something that we know. Okay, next. Now, do you see all these green lines here? So these are the green lines here. Now, these lines come from TAG. Okay, as I said, right, TAG is predictive. So when price is at, haven't even formed yet, what TAG did is that TAG already predicted that this is the support zone that we are looking at. Now, in fact, what TAG also tells us is that when price is below this 78923, that means that when price is trading and has closed below 78923, then the uptrend will be gone. Okay, so TAG is not only about giving us the price level, it is also about providing us what is the trend. Okay, all right, so it's calculate mathematically to tell us that as long as price stays above 78923, then the uptrend in BTC will remain. Okay, so it becomes a very critical level for 78923. Okay, so this is the key message here. All right. Okay, so as I said, right, what we are doing here is that we are trying to go to the higher time frame to say that if BTC is coming down, as I said, right, how do I know that this is a bottom? It must come down, right? Because each time when it comes down, then it means that those people who are interested to buy will be able to buy at the low. Now, if it doesn't come down, how are you going to buy at the low? Okay, so it must come down, right? The only question is that what we want to know is that the point that you bought in, is it where is near to the market bottom and very soon it's going to turn up. So this is the fear. You are afraid that if you buy in, all right, then price will continue dropping. But the second thing I talk about is how do you find a market bottom is when price starts to move up. Okay, so first, to know a market bottom, number one, right, it must go down. So this is the first basic thing. It must come down in order to generate a bottom. Number two, in order to know that the bottom has stopped being a bottom, what happens to price? It must go up. So this is a fact of price movement. That means that how do you know that this has turned up? Because it has to go up. How do you know that this is going to stop becoming a bottom? It must go up. That in this case here, if the overall trend is up, then how do you know that this is going to stop going down? That means it must do what? What must it do? Very good. It must turn up. Yes, exactly. So this is the whole thing here. It must turn up. All right. Now, then which time frame should we look at then? We are not going to look at it turning up in a week time frame, because in the week we are using it to decide whether the trend is up or down. Because as I said, right, it is really no point to go and buy this type of price movement. What we are interested in is that we are interested in to buy this type of movement because overall is going up and we are interested to buy here or buy here or buy here, right? Okay. Correct? Agree with this statement here? That means that yes, we want to catch a market bottom. A market bottom is very important to us because this is how we can get a good entry, which is essentially you buy at a discount. But you are going to choose the right context. What is the right context? It's where you want to buy generally things are going up, but only after it has corrected for a while. Okay, it is a discount. Okay, now it's the same thing as when we are shopping. So for example, you go to a shop, right? You walk, and then your husband or your girlfriend say, should we go in? I say, no, I don't want to go in. But when you see that that shop has a 50 to 60% discount, then what do? Even for things that you don't want to buy, you also want to go in and see, because you want to see that what kind of good deals are you going to get. But you're not going to buy rotten stuff. Okay, so that's why that when brands, good brands, popular brands, when they have a discount, that's where you see a lot of people going, because that represent generally things that they want. Okay, right. So it must be buying at the bottom on a context, and the context is that the higher time frame should be an uptrend. So in this case here for BTC, which is Bitcoin, is it in an uptrend or is it in a downtrend in the weekly time frame? Uptrend or downtrend? Waiting for your answer. In this context here, generally uptrend. While I'm waiting for your answer, all right, just to also announce again that this session is proudly sponsored by 8cap. Okay, 8cap is one of the broker that I flew last year to visit them and totally really very impressed with them. The whole operation, the office, big office in the financial district and just in downtown Melbourne. Very nice office, and they got me a very nice hotel, Intercon, just beside the office. And I went there in May, also very nice weather. So they are interested to educate and build relationship. Okay, that means that make sure the clients are trading well, are educated. So this is why we are doing a lot more sessions going forward. Okay, all right, very good. Okay, all up, right? So if the wick is up, it's up in generally. What we want is to cascade lower to the next time frame, which is next lower time frame, which is in this case day, right? And then to do what? To go and find that the moment that price is heading up also. Okay, so we want this as up, generally uptrend, and we want the day also starting to move up. Okay, so that is the objective here. All right. Okay, so here we are at the day here. So note that this is a day time frame. And why is it that I'm showing this one here? Okay, actually, this section, that means that this whole section here is the same as this one. It's just that 1 week has how many days? It has 5 days. So when you look at a weekly chart, you see less bars, less details, because it's condensed. 5 days becomes 1 week. So 5 bars in a day becomes only 1 bar in a week. Okay, so this portion here is the same as this portion here. It's just that we see a lot more things. Okay, so let's revise. How do you know a bottom? Okay, so this is the bottom. The first rule to know that it is a bottom, what is the first rule? It must move up or move down. It must move down. Okay, I know that this might seem a little bit cheesy, but it is very important, because a lot of time, a lot of traders or investors, when it's coming down, they dare not buy because they're afraid that it's going to come down a lot more. All right, and then when it's up, right, when it's going up, they hope that you will come down. They hope and waited that you will come down. Then they say, okay, I will buy in, because coming down means like a discount. But when it's really moving down, they're scared. They dare not buy. Okay, I mean, if it's a 40% discount, isn't it a good deal? But no, this doesn't happen in the financial market. Okay, a lot of people just decided to say that it might be worse, especially when you have a lot of bad news to moving, coming, etc., right? But history repeats. The bad news will always be here. The news wire will always ramp up things because they need to make it more interesting. Every time reporters caught me, and it just like the Trump had the tariff, and that period I was like so busy, I said I don't want to take any more calls, okay? Because then it's just like they're blowing things up. Okay, but anyway, the first rule is that it must move down. Okay, now second rule, how do you know that it is the bottom, and how do you know the bottom has ended? It must move up. Okay, so this would be the formula here. So first question, is this heading down? Yes or no? It is heading down. But the thing is that sometimes you see these heading down, right? If you buy, it went up a little bit, and then after that it hits down some more, right? Sometimes here you bought in here, it moved up a little bit, and then it hits down some more here. How do you know that this is the true bottom? The keyword is, how do you know it is a true bottom? Actually, I have to admit to you guys, okay? 70% of the time, we can guess that this is the true bottom, but 30% of the time, sometimes I also guess it wrongly. So, but at least 100% of the time, if you can wait for price to drop, 100% of the time, you do get a better outcome than if you chase. I have to, every time when I do my live sessions with my community, I have to tell them, look, this is, and this hasn't moved down yet. So this is not the right time. Okay. So very important, when it's moving down, what we usually have is that for tag point of view, okay, tag point of view, all right, this would be the two orange lines. You see that? So these are the two orange lines that's kept recurring. So what is tag doing here? Tag is measuring and calculating this price movement here, and to say that it came out with this resistance. Okay, so RES is resistance. All right, so SUPPA is support. That means that at here, the support had been broken. All right, and right now, the latest line that's relevant to us is that these are the resistance level. Now you see the resistance level as barrier for price to move up. Now in other words, right, that's how we talk about how do you know the bottom has ended, right, is when price moves up. In other words, we are waiting for price to move above which level, which is this level here, 86594. In other words, we are waiting for price to move above and trade higher than 86600. So this is the key level here. 86600 is the key level here because these would be the resistance that's measured by tag. All right. In other words, if price can trade above this orange line here, then it means that this downward move has ended. Okay, let me just repeat this concept here, right? Now, if price can trade above 86600, which is this line here, then it means that this downward movement would have ended. Okay? Right? Okay, then later on, you're going to ask me how to come up with this line. Answer later, all right? Now, what I need you to do is I need you to just look at the color code. Colors, okay? Orange line. Just remember that. Orange lines and price move down. In order to know that a bottom has concluded, price must close above the higher of the two lines if there are two lines available, and that will be 86600. All right? Okay, now take a look at this one. This was the BTC, the same thing. All right, where we have 86600 here. BTC on the 21st of April, and that was just 3 days ago, traded 87400. That means that at the close here, all right, do you see that price trade above and close above 86600? Yes or no? Okay, do you see that? It trade and closed above this one here. Okay, if it does, and if yes, then this means that we are having a buy signal for BTC. Okay, so if we see the lines happening in a day, so this is a day, right, D here, then our entry will be based on the day. So this is purely on a day chart, which is very suitable for people who are doing stocks. All right. So for example, if you are doing stocks, you want to refer to the week as your main trend, and then you want to use the day as the trigger. And this is what's happening right now, where BTC had a trigger, all right, at 87,400. Okay. What happens to BTC right now? Anybody knows? Okay, let's take a look at the live data. Okay, I have it here. So I actually didn't, we can go to the live data later on. All right, so that's about 92,700 after it went up. All right, now I just wanted you to remember this, okay? That first, you want to spot bottom, it must move down. Okay, second, it must move up. So this is how we spot bottom. All right. There are also additional clues that you might want to have, all right, such as, for example, a retest. That means that price hit a level and then retested into that level again. But essentially, I find that retest is very good, but it doesn't beat, right, having the clue of it actually going higher. Okay, so if you see how we did on Tesla, how we did the previous round of BTC, it's always using these two lines here. Okay, so if you are scalping, for example, or if you're doing short-term trading, then you want to refer this line, and this line will be drawn in the lower time frame, such as a 1 hour or a 4 hour. All right, okay. Now, so let's go back into the live charts. Just hang on for a while. Okay, so take a look at here. So this is Frank versus Sing. Do you see this orange line here, the two orange line? Yes. And basically, price went above the two orange lines, and then what happened? Zoom, it went up. All right, so let's talk about BTC. So this is BTC here. All right, same thing. You see this two orange lines being drawn here. Okay, so that would be the signal to pick the bottom. So overall, this is the movement of BTC. All right, and it bears the same pattern. Okay, why do I say that? You focus on this orange line. If I were to just move a little bit and then to do a bit of a replay, the earlier section of BTC, same thing. You find that it's generally heading up and it has this movement, right? So this is actually a downward movement. Do you see the cluster of orange lines here? Now, it means that for BTC to get out of this move and to confirm that a bottom has happened, so what would be the price that price will need to move above and trade above? What price? Is it D1, D2, or D3? Which one? Okay, it must trade above D3 here. All right, so that means 65,475. Okay, so just to let you see what happened. All right, so price moved above that 65,475, this level here. All right, around this place. Okay, and what we are measuring here, all right, is that we are measuring where it's going. It's a state, right, where it's just not pure support resistance level, but we are measuring the state of this trend here. All right, so it's a mathematical calculation. All right, so we will be these numbers is just a little bit off from the traditional support resistance. To us, all right, this resistance we don't care, this resistance we don't really care, this resistance we don't really care. What matters would be the interaction here. That means it must be above the price, which is the highest of this orange line. Okay, just to let you know. All right, now do you see these two blue lines coming in? Okay, so these two blue lines here, okay, what these blue lines here is that it detected that the trend is moving up. So what it does is that it says that if you are looking to buy, then for re-entry, then the two blue lines here, which is this support level, all right, on this support level would be the two best price level that we are looking to buy. Okay, so these are the two best level that we are looking to buy if ever it moves down. Okay, because the trend has already gone up. Right, just let me just play through the whole thing and let you see. Okay, all right, so this is the BTC movement. Generally very reactive to the blue lines, but when once below the blue line, then it means that the trend has already ended. Huh? Okay, so that's about BTC. All right, Now, what I like to do is also like to go through some US stocks. Anybody doing stocks? Okay, and Tesla is hot, right? So let me just go through Tesla. So if you are looking at stocks and you're looking for the investment point of view, all right? So let's go through Tesla here. What time frame do we start with? If you are looking at stocks and you're generally, not very active, you just want to do like maybe a week or month, something once a trade. So we want to look at what happens in the week and then what's happened in the day. Okay, so in the week, right? So let's take a look at Tesla. In a week, just for a while. Okay, so this is what happened, right? Okay, now in a week, what it's happening in Tesla in terms of the trend? Is it generally up or is it generally down? I show you this one here. Okay, so it is looking generally still up. Can you see that? Oh, all right, and then we sort of predicted that there is a level here. Okay, and then it's bouncing, missing a little bit, but generally you can see that it is heading higher because this is a low. So this is a higher low, and then this one is still a higher low relative to the previous one. And then this is a high, and then this is still a higher high. Okay, all right. Okay, very good. Now next, in the line chart here, is this coming down? Yes or no? Okay, so generally it is going up, but then is the current price movement here coming down? Yes or no? Yes, right? Okay. The next question. Is this the bottom for Tesla? So we need two conditions, right? To spot the bottom. Well, it's the first condition. The first condition is that it must go up or down. Very good. It must go down first, right? And next condition is it must go, yes, then up. Very good. Yeah? Okay, it must go down and then it must go up. All right. So we met sort of the first condition. That means this is a day chart already, right? We met the first condition that it is heading down. Can you see that? Okay, very good. All right. Now, so when it's going up, we will look for what? We will look for the orange line. That means that price must be higher than this current orange line. Okay, is Tesla right now higher than this orange line? Yes or no? This is Tesla price. Is it higher than the orange line? No. Okay, that means that according to TAG, Tesla has not reversed yet. And the crucial price of TAG based on now is 280, or rather 281, or maybe you just want to put 285, round up a little bit. But anyway, this is the price here. Now the good thing is that this price will change when the price structure in Tesla change as well. That means that if Tesla change its price structure, okay, in any way, right, it is adaptive. As I say, it is predictive, it is adaptive, it will change. But at this moment, Tesla is not above yet. Okay, so this is how we look at it. All right, so I think that coming up, we do have earnings in Google. That's why I'm showcasing Google here. All right, so this was the whole cluster support of Google, and then it broke, and then Google came pop. Okay, so let's address whether this is the bottom for Google. Okay, so we're gonna look at the overall trend for Google, right? So overall trend for Google, yes, it is still going up. In fact, that if you have a look into the price level, then you know that Google is near to the support level. So we have S here, like a turning point here, and then it's actually near here, which is another support level. Okay, now the first condition of a bottom, Google must move down. Has it moved down yet? The answer is, what do you think? If you can't see, very important, switch this into the line chart, and then you can find whether Google has moved down. Has Google moved down? Yes, okay, so we need to see that the Google has moved down. Okay, but generally, Google must be trending up in the higher time frame. Okay, then we go to the day, and then we ask ourselves, has Google gone above, is there any orange line? Yes or no? Yes, right? Okay, very good. Now next, has Google gone above the orange line? Yes or no? All right. So the key level of Google is what price? Do you know? The key level for Google, in order to say that it is a bottom, is what price? Yes, 160.22. So give it a round up. So it's 161. If you want, give it a little bit more buffer, 162, 163. Okay. Otherwise, if it's not above the price level, you will be treated as still a resistance, and we still be actually looking to short Google at that price level. Okay, so this price level is very wonderful because it does tells us that if it's below it, then really no point to call a bottom. We want to see price going higher. But the nice thing is that this price level is adaptive. That means keep calculating as price move, right? So today we check that is 160. A month later, maybe you look at that. I mean, it could be 150, it could be 140, depending on how price moves. So you don't actually need to calculate that. All right? Okay. So this is Google here. Now, I'm going to show you another index. Okay? And that's NASDAQ. Okay, so let's talk about NASDAQ, right? Okay, as I said, right, you can do it for short term, you can do it for long term. If you're doing like a week and a day, then you're basically doing a slightly like swing trading. But if you want to do that, you can just go to the 4 hour. You still get the same thing. You still have the orange line here. Okay, so later I'm going to talk about that. All right, so this price feed is from EggCat, where you are able to trade into NASDAQ. All right. And in case you doesn't know, you are able to do the US shares, and then a lot of other shares, right? CFDs, contract for difference in EggCat, and they don't charge a minimum fee. That means that the prices that they charge, it depending on how much you buy. So you can just buy one shares. If I don't get it wrong, one share is 20 cents. Okay, one way is 20 cents for one shares. So let's say you do one shares, you only pay 20 cents. There is no minimum fixed amount. Okay, for example, some broker will charge a minimum 10 USD, some will charge a minimum 6 USD, but this one, no. Okay, it only charged whatever that you buy or sell. Okay, so there is no fixed amount. Okay, so let's take a look at NASDAQ here. So this is NASDAQ, right? Same thing, we check the week, okay, and then if you can see the week chart here, all right, overall NASDAQ is still heading up. Agree? Okay, and then we do have a high here where it's giving us a previous high. So this was a high, and then right now it's coming into a support level. Okay, so when I came back from Shanghai last week, I was already talking about this one here. Tuesday, I was already updating the community that we are likely going to see for NASDAQ and for the US indexes to go higher this week. Okay, I explained to you why. All right, then when you go to the day, so overall it's up, right? When you go to the day, do you find that it is actually at the low, coming down? So first criteria, it must be down. Is this criteria met? Yes or no? Yes, done. Okay, next criteria, it must go up. Then, how do we know that it's going up? So we look at what color lines? What color lines are we looking at to know that it's gone up? We look at the orange line. Okay, one very good question from the YouTube. I will answer that. The question is that if the line keep moving, how do we enter? Because the line will stop at one point of time if it's found the optimal level. Okay, all right. So it will stop. It will stop moving. Then that's where you can enter. All right. So it has already gone above the orange line at this bar here. All right. And then when I came back from Shanghai on Monday, and when I did my lesson on Tuesday, so this is Thursday, this is today, right? So this is Thursday, this was Wednesday, and this was Tuesday, right? So this was Tuesday. When I came back from Shanghai on Tuesday, I was already updating the students, right? That we had NASDAQ closing above the zone of orange lines. Not only that, right? We had a weekly close, right? Above the orange lines. So it means that this downward movement had already ended when price moved up. Okay? Now, it didn't immediately burst up. What it did was it gave an opportunity for us to enter when it moved back down. So this is like a retracement. And then Tuesday was just a nice day to update that it has firmly get supported at the zone here, and then it's moving up. Okay, as I said, right, we are able to go to the lower time frame. Okay, this is a 4-hour time frame. Okay, and then this line here is different. This line here is a 1-hour line. Okay, so this is a 1-hour line, right? It means what? It means that okay, if you don't understand, it's fine. I try my best to answer it. So price, it's moving up, and then do you see that price is coming down? Yes. Okay, so at that point of time, we do have 2 orange line here where it's telling us that if it's above it, then price is likely to go up. So that's the reason why, I was telling the community on a Tuesday that we are likely going to have an upward movement in the US indexes. Okay, all right. So this orange line will also work very well in the lower time frame. So this would be our buy signal in a 4-hour chart based on the 1-hour signal, and then the buy signal had already occurred, all right, when we had this one here and it retraced back down. Okay. All right, Ken? Okay, now there's a lot of things I want to show you. For example, gold. We do have a lot of signals going on. Like for example, the previous round where we had the long in gold was here. Okay, 2,724. All right, and then if you go in the lower time frame, we also have a buy signal. For example, there was a buy signal here, the same pattern. Let me just roll it back to let you see. You see this whole orange line here. Okay, so it means that when it's above it, then that's where we're gonna have our buy signal here at 3050 plus minus around there. So it keep repeating the same thing again and again and again. This is how we basically trade that. Okay, all right. Ken? Okay, so let me just revise what I've just covered. Okay, the orange signal here, unfortunately, this is hard-coded inside this indicator. And in the course, I'll be teaching you how to identify and how to come up with this line here. Okay, it's not something that I can complete in an hour time. Okay, or even 2 hours I also cannot complete. All right, so what I'm trying to do and trying to let you know, all right, it's really a very simple way. How do you know the market is bottoming? Number one, you must always go to the higher time frame. If you are in doubt, you should always go to the week time frame and check that overall the price is moving up. Okay, if you ask me, the best time frame to trade that you can potentially be quite profitable, no assurance, no guarantee, but based on my own experience, you just go to the week and then you go to the day, and then you want to catch a market bottom, whether it is stocks, whether it is index, whether it is FX or gold, look for the orange line. But before you look for the orange line, make sure that price goes down first, because this is a key characteristic of bottom. And then after that, wait for price to go up. Okay? All right. Now, that's what I want to share today. Do you have any questions? If not, let me just do like 5 minutes to just share with you what we have. As I said, right, our course has one characteristic, which is to come with a full cash refund. That means your course fee is fully refunded. Okay, just 5 minutes here. Number one, I believe that we are the most hardworking trainer in probably Asia. I cannot say planet Earth. I dare not, but maybe probably. Okay, so we have like 7 sessions a week. Okay, we have 7 sessions a week. All right, so we have this assess time, which is to really guide you. So for example, when I came back from Shanghai on Sunday, I did my assess time on a Tuesday and guided them that we are likely going to see a recovery in the stock market this week because of why. So 4 sessions of assess time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. All right. And then we do have 2 night sessions here. And that is for those people who are at night, they can't attend the afternoon session. And then we have one special session which is conducted by myself, and that's called TAW Pro, that talks about tag. And this week I just share with them how to do scalping. All right, my way of doing scalping, 1 hour and later on we're going to move to the 15 minutes. All right, so this is how I and my